You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Welcome to Earth Station 1, a weekly podcast dedicated to all things sci-fi, fantasy, and much, much more. Sit back and relax and enjoy the show.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Earth Station 1. That's right, folks. We're here for the big one, episode 700. Can you believe it? 700 episodes of Earth Station 1. And we thought, what better way to do it than to celebrate with you guys live instead of doing a regular recording and just putting it out to the world. So this is going to be an interesting one to do, and it's going to be a ton of fun because we're going to look at geeking out and how people are geeking out now in 2023. Should be very interesting to do. And of course, I want to, introduce the man who's been with me almost the whole way, almost all 700 episodes. Welcome, Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
700, my friend.
We are, we're an elite company, a 700 club, right? Like along there with Jim Baker and Pat Robertson and like all those great guys. Like we're just right there in the 700 club, right?
We're so much less holy than they are, though. But
so much so. Like, yeah, I don't know how many people actually get that reference, but I don't even know if it's still a thing anymore. But
who knows?
Yeah, no, 700 is absolutely unbelievable number for me to contemplate. Actually, it just feels so huge.
No, I definitely think it's interesting too, because there's so much cool stuff that we've done over the years, and we're having so much fun doing it. And each week, now we're coming to you twice a week out of, everything, and all the topics, all the people we're meeting. And it's always great because no two episodes are the same. And it's a testament to both of us and to you for putting up with me this whole time. So it's pretty darn awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's who knew, like, what was it? 12, 13 years ago?
13 years ago, dude.
And this is almost like, pretty much the anniversary of when you started it too. Like, cause that's right around like this time of year, right?
Oh yeah. We started April 7th of 2010. So it's interesting to see that, who's, what the show's become, how many, we've gone through co-hosts. At first we were going through co-hosts as much as Spinal Tap was going through drummers. And, it was like basically a host a minute or an episode in some cases. And, when I met you, we just stuck, and there was chemistry, there was kismet in some ways, or, I locked the door so you couldn't get out. So
that was it. That was really it. Yeah.
So it's pretty darn awesome. And
you just decided, okay, I don't think it just keeps getting worse, so I'm going to just stop it right here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, all right, I think that's enough. I think we're done with it. So it's pretty cool though. And it's been a blast. And, the show's evolved over the years, and it's been pretty cool. Later on, we'll thank, past co-hosts and some people who have been regulars on the show and who've been giving us segments each week. And it's been great and everything. And part of the thing about doing ESO is we created a network out of this. We've done other shows. And one of the shows that we've, created out of this was the Dragon Con report. And I
Absolutely.
thought
that was right away. Yeah. I mean, people are going to think that this is the Dragon Con report.
Well, when they see who's, joining us tonight. Welcome, Jen.
Hello. Good. Happy 700th episode, guys.
It's mind-boggling.
That's a little bit harder for somebody with a lisp.
It's awesome. And, that you can join us. Channing will be joining us later. He's having some internet issues right now. So we'll basically have the crew
We'll get the whole Dragon Con report, folks together for sure. It's a nice reunion. Well, we're going to be recording tomorrow too, so
yeah, you get to see us 2 nights in a row, folks.
2 nights in a row. So we will keep the Dragon Con talk to a minimum this evening, but I'm sure it may come up because we're not just here to pat ourselves on the back. We're going to be talking all about the geek experience as we've come to know it, and now what maybe lie ahead for us,
Well, it's interesting, and that's why we thought it would be kind of fun to do this topic for tonight, because we're talking to you guys. We've gone every couple of years. We've done a look at Geekdom in the year that we were talking about, and how much it's involved in 13 years and everything. It's not the same that it was back into 2010.
Heck no. And it's not even the same as it was. I think the last time we did this was before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. I think episode 500, we did something similar.
Right. And,
at the comic shop when we were.
Yeah, episode 500, we were talking about geek places to go.
Yeah.
So, but I know that we've done this, a few times, but like I said, I don't think we've done it since the pandemic, and look how much has changed since then. So
very much so.
And now we're in a wider strike, so that's going to change.
Change
a lot of it right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you want to get into it right away, or do you have any more business to discuss, Mike?
Oh, business as always is, please, we want to hear from you guys. Please get involved with chat, because we're doing on StreamYard tonight. So
yeah, we see people already joining us, and that's awesome. Thank you guys. Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, let's say hi to Luciana DeVito, Sherman Burris, and Dave Chapman have already posted in the chat room.
Wait, did you pronounce something right? Do I have to drink?
Yeah, you could drink. You definitely could drink. So it's a good.
Are we gonna reach out? Are we gonna mention everybody like Romper Room?
Exactly. I see Johnny and I see Sarah.
And I love me some
round thing I have to hold in front of my face. But yeah, it's actually pretty awesome. And definitely would love to hear from people at home who are not listening to the recording or watching us up on YouTube at a later date. Feedback at Earth Station 1 is always the best way to get in touch with us, or leave a comment and stuff. We've been getting quite a few comments and stuff up on the YouTube channel, so it's pretty awesome. People have been like, the movie for the summer movie preview we just did a couple weeks back, people were listing movies that they were looking forward to seeing and everything. So
yeah, already I'm already second guessing all my choices.
I'm excited because one of the movies I neglected to go see in the theater is hitting Paramount Plus tomorrow.
Oh, which one?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
They just announced it this morning, and I was gonna rent it. I know I'm gonna buy it already. Like, I knew it was something I was gonna buy, and it'll be one of the rare ones I go out and get the physical copy of instead of digital. But then I got the email this morning. It was like, coming to Paramount tomorrow. I was like, yes,
tomorrow. Wow,
tomorrow.
That's fast.
Tomorrow. That's awesome.
Well, we kept meaning to go see it, and then got distracted by John Wick 4, and then got distracted by Guardians. So
Dungeons and Dragons probably is my favorite movie we've seen at the theater this year so far. So,
wow.
And I like John Wick a lot.
I was gonna say, I only like him a little.
Yeah.
John Wick 4 is actually my favorite I've seen so far. Because the staircase scene was just
the staircase.
Oh yeah. The last 45 minutes are breathtaking.
And the way they made it feel, like for the last 45 minutes, it almost felt like it was a continuous shot.
I know the staircase scene was.
Really?
Yeah, the director did a behind the scenes thingy discussing it. Because he's he is a big fan of doing the continuous shots. So
cool.
Yeah,
well, those people who are listening to us later on, not joining us live and watching us on YouTube, we love you guys too. Love you guys a lot.
We do. We appreciate everybody, and it's interesting because we've had really interesting people that we've met over the years doing this podcast, and we've made some really good friends over it. And some people we spend the cons with, people who've become involved with the network, and bringing their own shows to the network and everything. It's been real interesting. And even some of the friends that we have that aren't part of the network anymore, we still love you guys. It's still a good thing. There's no hard feelings. So there we go.
I'm also amazed that I mean I don't know if we've discussed this on air before, but
Which
I
restraining
mean
order are you talking about?
we're not quite award winning yet, but we're chart topping, right?
Oh, we are. We actually have not talked about that. But yeah, people are listening. People are definitely listening. It's interesting, I always joke about that we're the biggest podcast that nobody listens to. And it's always been, just doing this for the fun of it and everything. But we're getting up there in the ratings and everything. We are, for certain podcast networks and groups and such, we've been popping up at like the number 2 podcast in the country and everything. And
yeah, according to Good Pods, we were number 3 in the top 100 sci-fi chart.
Mm-hmm.
And in the number 6 in the fantasy chart, and 13, lucky number, in the TV chart. I mean, that to me is amazing.
Thanks,
you, Ramona.
We appreciate you.
I mean, that's just awesome. And it's because of you guys. I mean, we just throw this stuff out there, but I mean, you guys are paying attention. You guys are tuning in. You guys care. And we appreciate that a lot.
Not only are they, listening through audio, now they're looking at us on video. And, we've started the YouTube channel a couple months ago.
They're looking at you, Mikes.
Oh,
they're looking at you.
They're staring at me. They're staring. We're watching you. We are watching you. So it's pretty amazing. And, I just wanted to show, it's pretty fun though, that we've got to be able to, bring you this kind of stuff. And it's always fun because, these are your hosts for tonight. So it's always a nice little thing.
Tonight and through most of the 700 episodes.
Oh, yes. Through most of them. All the way from episode 17 up. This has been your hosts. And don't we look, lifelike there?
So you should get somebody to do like a little AI mouse, and then you could have the 2 pop figures host a whole episode with just the mouse going.
We're only about 6 months being away from being replaced by AI completely. So that's probably just a matter of time now.
Okay. So
okay.
I'm fine with that. If it frees up my evenings, let the AI take over. So that way I could start another podcast to add to my list, So it'll be very interesting to do. That would be Chicago. We could actually have or what was it, the old Mexican cartoons that they had the pictures and the person's lips on it just moving or something, and it was like,
Conan O'Brien used to do that too with whenever you do those interviews with people, just lips talking on pictures.
Well, it's awesome though, but it's interesting when you have people, come to you and say, "Hey, I listened to your podcast," or "I watch it." I've actually had people saying, "Hey, I recognized you from your podcast," because they're watching us on video and everything. But not only video now, but we also have our patrons we have to say thank you to also, because
absolutely
they get the shows early because they're patrons of the ESO network. And Earth Station 1 is one of the big ones who puts out their show 2 days early, so they get a little bit of a bonus for being a Patreon. So it's pretty cool. So
appreciate that. Awesome. Yeah, they give us money.
They do give us money, but
that's amazing.
We will never just flat out charge for the show, because I was talking to somebody earlier this week, and they basically were asking, trying to help me figure out ways to promote. Have you ever thought about putting your podcast behind a paywall? It's like, no. It's like nobody will pay to just listen to Earth Station 1. Come on.
Yeah, you only do that when you're like Spotify top 10 level.
Exactly. And it's funny because it was interesting, and it was just like, she was like saying, you can make a lot of money by doing that, and it's like, you haven't seen our listeners. No, I don't think so. And we love you guys, and there's no way I would ever do that to anybody. So
yeah, I would think that's the average podcast listener would not, no matter the network, would not want their favorite podcast to be behind a paywall.
Right.
Mm-mm. No, and because even the big ones like people like Mark Maron, stuff like that, Kevin Smith, and folks like that, they don't put their shows. They put extra bonus material behind, a paywall and stuff, but their basic shows are all free to everybody.
Yeah, that's what Patreon's for.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
That's what we're going to. And that's what we're going to.
You gotta. It's the whole pusher mentality, right? You got to give them something free so you can hook them in.
Exactly. It's like give them a taste of the sugar baby, and they'll be hooked.
That's right.
So it's awesome. So geeking out in 2023. There's a lot to talk about and everything. It's
in a lot of ways, it's like I was thinking about it. It's the best of times, and it's the worst of times. Like, it's best because look at all the content that we're getting. Like,
very much so.
Like junior high me would just explode knowing like all the shows that are available to me on a weekly basis. The fact that I had, last month I was watching a Star Trek show and a Star Wars show, like at the same
week,
like the same week, right?
Yeah, 2 days apart.
Exactly.
Or 1 day apart. Yeah.
And it was, and it's just stuff amazing. Like it's Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
But it's one of those things that's just so mind-boggling to me, like how much stuff we're getting, the Marvel movies and the Star Wars movies and a D&D movie that doesn't suck, like and all this stuff that doesn't suck. There's too much content now. The three of us are active geeks and we like a lot of the same things, and yet we're watching completely different shows.
Yeah, I don't know if I would ever say there's too much. I'm
not at all. If anything, I just don't have enough time in the day to
like, I mean, because I'm a big binger and I am so upset. Like, I am spoiled and I'm irritated on days that I am caught up and I don't feel like watching anything because it's not the stuff I want to watch. So, and that's where I am right now. There's a couple days a week where I'm like, okay, I don't have a new episode of one of the shows I feel like watching.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I don't run out. Like, I'm just like, to me, it's like, yeah, if I'm not watching one thing, I'm like, okay, now I can get caught up on something else. And it's like, there's just so many. Yeah. I just don't have, like you said, Mike, I don't have enough hours in the day.
No. Last night, we actually got finished watching Sweet Tooth season 2.
See, I
haven't even started that yet.
I've put off watching season 2 because I'm just not ready for it.
Oh, you're going to need a lot of tissues with that.
Something like that. It's like, it's not that I don't have enough time. It's just like, I'm not in the right headspace to watch that show yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I could understand that.
I mean, especially like with the Guardians of the Galaxy experience.
Oh, see, I had been warned about that one.
Sure. But I mean, it's like the same kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And there was an episode of Titans not too long ago that dealt with that too, that kind of animal cruelty stuff. And it's like, man, why is this like everywhere all of a sudden? It's just kind of a weird trend. But like I said, the good stuff is that we're getting all this content, right? Tons and tons of content, and that's good. The bad stuff is fan toxicity, right?
That was definitely on my list to talk about tonight.
Exactly. Like,
but I mean, to be fair, that's always existed.
And well, yes. I mean, arguably, yes. But I guess with more content comes more fans, and with more fans comes more toxicity, right?
I haven't seen it. To me, the peak of it was the last Star Wars movie, which how many years ago now is it?
Well, I do think that Star Wars definitely has been one of those ones that really is a good a clear indicator, wow, there's a division here.
Yeah.
That didn't exist, years ago. But now it's like
or they didn't have access to the internet years ago.
Well,
because you know what?
I mean, yes. I was around before the internet. Well, here's the thing.
People hated Ewoks. I know people hated Ewoks when the Return of the Jedi came out.
It's true.
They just didn't have the internet to yell about.
Oh, we got Channing. Look,
it's a
Dragon Con Report full reunion.
Hello. Yeah, better late than never.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you what you said, Jen, though, that for years, all the time there's people out there bitching and moaning about it. But right now it feels like there's so much content and everything, and people are biting off their nose despite themselves. You have Star Wars fans who are tearing apart the Star Wars franchise because they're not liking what is out there.
Yeah, that's I think one of the key differences. When we were growing up, if you like Star Wars, you were considered a nerd or a geek, and if you didn't like Star Wars, you could rag on it. But people who like Star Wars didn't rag on it. Now people who say they're Star Wars fans are ragging on it. It's a different kind of, there's divisions within the fandom, which didn't seem to exist as prominently as it does now. And that's kind of one of the differences, I think.
I think that's what happens when stuff gets popular. Everybody wants to kind of put their thumbprint on it and just say, no, this is my thing. This is how it was. It's almost like a hipstery thing. I preferred Star Wars when it was Star Wars.
When it was
that,
cool.
That kind of thing. Right. Exactly. I think there's that. And people feel more of a sense of ownership of content now. It's not enough to just be a fan. There's almost this sense of entitlement that you should be able to dictate what the content producers are doing. And that's fine for, a Patreon or something where that's implied. But, for a big time movie studio or something, that's just not the way it works.
No, agree completely with that. It's interesting because it's basically one of the users said, sadly the division always existed. We just had a lot more internet culture creating a much easier way to form camps and encourage both bad behavior and self-destructive behavior out there. And it's interesting with that because people can remain anonymous and nobody knows who's really saying what they're saying. And it's easy to hide because
right.
And yeah, it's okay to criticize. Look at us, what we do on Earth Station Who, how we beat up Chibnall all the time, and a lot of times it's deserved. But people say,
"Wow, he's getting Chibnall bashing in on this show now. It's bleeding over."
You had 23 minutes and 22 seconds into the recording for us to do this, but yeah, it's interesting because that's the way fans are with everything, with Doctor Who, with Star Wars. Star Trek is being us on the show, there are certain shows some of us won't even watch because we're not happy with the product, but that's your choice to watch it or not watch it. But do you just do you bash it in front of people, because there's a lot of people out there that do like it and everything.
Yeah, and it's one thing to be unhappy with the product. That's everybody's right. But when you are, threatening actors and directors, when you're review bombing reviews that have nothing to do with the movie itself, the trailer for the Marvels is one of the most downvoted things on YouTube now, for only one reason that I don't even have to spell out. Yeah, it's fine to have an opinion, but you don't have to throw in that hate with it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, I agree completely with that. And it's interesting too, because, what you have with, Marvel's is a great example because of the actress they have, as Captain Marvel. How much hate do they have? How much hate do they have because it's a female driven movie, and such. And it's awful and everything. And you get that. And, which sucks because, off the air, we've been talking about that, how Marvel has been, receiving a lot of hate. And we've even talked about it on the show, Mike, when the summer movie preview, we were talking about, is there a superhero burnout that we're starting to get and everything?
Yeah, the term superhero fatigue is being thrown around a lot. And I don't know. I mean, I don't experience it myself, but I can, definitely see, I guess, some people experiencing it. as long as the product's good, give me more. When the product's not so good, that's when it starts to really feel like it's a weight. And there's just too much else out there that if you don't like something, you can just turn the channel, you can literally just find something like a channel or two away. Like it's not difficult. Like you don't have to like stay watching something you don't enjoy. But a lot of people do. And they seem to really relish that and really relish bashing at things. Yeah. I don't know if I guess if enough people say that there's superhero fatigue, then I guess that, it must be a thing, but I don't feel that per se. I don't think,
I think it's a clickbait term.
You think so? Yeah.
Well, every place I see it, and it's, been used for 2 or more years now, it's the geek blogs, or it's Hollywood Reporter. It's Comic Book Resources. It's Boing Boing. It's Gizmodo. It's, it's all those sites. One article uses it. Everybody grabs that term, and it gets people who either agree because they don't like the state of superhero movies now, or people who don't agree because they love all the superhero movies now, and they're going to click that article and they're going to comment in favor or against.
For me, it's basically, there's certain comic books or certain characters in them that I don't like, so I don't read them. There's going to be movies out there that are going to come out that I'm not going to like or I'm not going to watch. But same thing with TV shows. And, that's the way it should be. And that's the way, but I don't broadcast it to the world saying, oh, I don't think they should be making this because I don't like this character, or that's not out of character or whatever. It's, it's just craziness.
It is craziness. Go ahead, Jenny.
Yeah, I mean, they're not making $1 billion anymore, but they're still making like $600-700 million. So as long as they're making money, Marvel and Disney are going to keep churning them out. And as I've said before, a good superhero movie isn't just a superhero movie. It's a family drama wrapped up in a superhero movie. It's a heist film wrapped up in a superhero skin, kind of like Ant-Man.
Oh, true.
So
exactly.
yeah, they just got to find ways to keep mixing it up some to kind of help fight the perceived superhero fatigue.
One of the best superhero movies that I can remember was Winter Soldier, because it was more of an, like like a Patriot Games or something like that type of movie.
Jack Ryan.
Yeah, Jack Ryan type adventure, instead of a Captain America movie where he's, dressed in costume. You barely saw Steve Rogers in costume in that movie. Most of the characters he didn't, which was pretty awesome.
Oh, hey, there's Marvel fans who think that everything went downhill after Iron Man, and for me, I'm like, Iron Man is my least favorite movies out of all of them. I love Robert Downey Jr. and I enjoy him as Tony Stark, but those movies aren't made for me. And I'm fine with that. I'm not going to tell people not to enjoy them. I watch them so I know the story, so I can keep following the story through line through all the movies. But it's not going to be the ones that I go back and watch over and over again, where, like Black Widow got panned, but I can watch it over and over and over again.
Well, exactly. There's certain movies out there that if I catch it, if it's streaming or if it's on like USA or FX or something, and it's on already, and it's one of my, that I like, it just have to catch 2 seconds of it. I'm stuck there. I'm not going to turn the channel and everything. It's part of, just me. Same thing with a Star Trek episode or something with, something like that. But it's easier now since I'm streaming. I don't have cable anymore. And it's just easier to now go pick and choose a la carte what I want to watch.
Well, a lot of us have our digital libraries in our streaming devices too. Like all the movies I've purchased, they're in my Fire Stick, so I can easily be like, okay, do I want to watch Avengers Endgame today? And I probably play that once a week.
Wow!
So it's
wow.
Well, sometimes I'm watching it. Sometimes I'm working from home, and it's a movie I'm comfortable with in the background, or I'm going somewhere and my dogs need to have the TV on for 8 hours. So if Avengers Endgame it is.
That's one thing that I personally do much differently. I mean, when I was younger, now there weren't as many options when I was younger. So if we had something, we held on to it and we watched it over and over and over and over and over again. That's why I can quote almost every single line from some of my favorite movies like Raiders of the Lost Ark or Star Trek II or Flash Gordon. I mean, I just know those movies backward and forward. I seldom watch movies more than once or twice when they come out because there's so much new content. I hardly rewatch anything anymore because there's so much something new that I need to that demands my attention.
I like what Mark Heffernan just wrote. To paraphrase The Dark Knight, some people will just want to watch the world burn. Hence the reason you see so many people on the net who literally complain about anything they don't agree with.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree. I don't know if I agree with that.
Of course
of course not.
Of course not.
No, I mean, hate watching is a real thing. I didn't mind the Velma show on HBO Max. Didn't bother me. I didn't think it was the greatest thing on TV, but I definitely didn't hate it. There were people who were watching that show just to talk about how bad it was.
I hate watched The Walking Dead.
Did you?
Wow.
Through 6 seasons. Now, wow. I didn't watch it because I hated it and I wanted to complain about it. I watched it because it was my best friend's favorite show. And she wanted to have me to be able to discuss each week's episode with.
And did you bitch and moan about each episode?
I would tell her, I don't understand why this is your favorite show because I thought, characters made stupid decisions. Which I think that's with every zombie thing. We're going to see stupid decisions in every zombie movie and TV show. That's the kind of the point. Yeah. But after like a major thing happened, I finally had to tell her and be like, look, I don't actually like the show. I watch it for you. I watch it to discuss it with you, but it has now reached the point where my blood is boiling at the end of the episode because I'm so mad about what happened. And she was like, "Oh my God, stop watching, please!" I was just like, "Thank you." And I will probably never go back to see how that show ends because of how upset it made me.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't even say that it was bad writing. I don't think it was bad writing. It was bad character decisions and motivation, in my opinion. That just and changing things from the comic books that were just too big of a change, in my opinion, if you were a fan of the comic book. So,
sure.
But yeah, so it was one of the healthiest things I've ever done for myself. I was like, yeah, folks, if you're watching something that you hate,
don't watch it.
You were actually doing something detrimental to your mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, exactly. But in the old days, it used to be if you had your favorite, you would watch it once when it was on FX or AMC or one of the networks, and then you would buy the season on disc or something, or purchase it, digitally if you could at that time, by the time that was out. Or God, if you want to go even older, when you used to buy the VHS of the seasons, and you got like 26 VHS tapes with it.
Dude, I mean, I know we're about the same age, so it's like I'm so old. I remember when we didn't have that choice. I remember actually recording things on audio cassette from the TV. I had a microphone put like right next to the speaker so I could replay things audio wise, because that's the only way I could replay things after they aired. The dogs are going crazy.
The dogs.
For once, it's not my dogs, folks. So
I know, right? So. Better not my cats. No.
Mm-hmm. I love this dude. Back in the ancient Begone days, we were so limited in our options that we recorded TV shows and movies we really liked on audio cassette in order to listen to them later. Yeah. I had a library of the first season of G.I. Joe on audio cassette, which included the sound of really loud cars and people going by the house.
Yep. Yeah, I get it. I had that too. I mean, and we've seen other people like, look, that's how we have some of the audio from some of the old Doctor Who's, right?
Oh
Because
yeah, very
people were
much so.
recording the audio of those. And so that's why we still have the audio of them, because BBC was stupid and erased it. But
That's how
I
we're
think the other
doing.
thing too
That's
is
how they're
that
doing the animated specials and stuff.
it's not just, I mean, there's hate watching, yes, and I get that too, but there's also this strong contingent of people who want to jump on something before it's even out. Like when the news comes out, when the trailer's out, or when, like, I mean, there's instant bashing. There's no wait and see mentality. It's more like, people are going to jump on it right away. And most of those people have some sort of agenda.
Always. And props to the unnamed Facebook user for being a G.I. Joe fan. That is a sign of good taste. I can tell you are a man of culture. Um,
I love
and
it.
it's kind of like what Kevin said in an earlier comment. Everything is a 1 or a 0 now. Everybody feels like it's either the worst thing in the world or it's the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
There's no more, it was okay or it was pretty good. It has to be either really, really bad or really, really good because they want to be able to shout it from the rooftops. And it goes for the positive responses too. Sometimes people just want to argue about their favorite thing because they feel kind of an air of superiority about it. Like, look how good my franchise is compared to yours.
Well, that's why I feel so fortunate to be able to do a podcast, twice a week now, because I get to be that guy up on the rooftop, being able to say if I liked something or if I didn't like something, and people are actually listening to it, which is awesome. So, I don't know if they agree with me or not, but you know what? I like talking about my opinion, so it's always been good.
Well, and yes, I mean, and that's true, and I also I appreciate that as well, because we don't, we're not a negative podcast, but we don't pull our punches either.
No,
We call
never
it like
have.
we see it. Um,
And
but I will
one
say,
thing I do love about with our show, but sorry to interrupt there, Mikey, but it's, we always don't agree too, which is awesome. But we don't put each other down because of it. And we don't yell at each other. We're respectful about it. And that's what it should be, is
sure,
about respect.
yeah, that's the thing I was going to say. I mean, I want to make sure that, I mean, even when yes, there was division even when I was growing up. I mean, you either like Marvel or you like DC. You like Star Trek or you like Star Wars. I mean, we even among the geeks back then we had those discussions.
One of the funniest ones for that though was when Maddox was on the show. We were doing the Kong Skull Island review, and we thought Maddox would love it. We thought Mark Maddox would be all over it. He was very quiet for the first 15 minutes, and then you turn to him and say, "So, Mark, what did you think of this movie?" "I hated it."
Yeah.
And I was like, what? All of us, our jaws dropped because it was myself, you, Ashley, and when Alex Autry was still on the show with us. And we were all like, what? Because we thought he was going to be the expert for this. And he was just like, nope, didn't like it. Thought it was a piece of garbage. That's all I'm going to say about it. And
we made him say a little bit more than that because we wanted to know why. I mean,
he doesn't say one thing anyway.
I know, right? That's the key, because that's why if you want to discuss things, I mean, that's where the interest comes, because you get to know people and what they like and what they don't like and what they respond to and what they don't respond to, because nothing out there is perfect. So everybody's going to have something, like there's going to be something wrong with everything that's out there, all the content. And some people are going to respond to things they like, and some people are going to respond to things they don't like, and it's all different. And that's okay. Like, it's okay to like Star Wars and to like Star Trek. It's okay to like Mandalorian and not like Andor. It's okay. And that's fine.
The same
I
as
think
it's okay for a show to be geared towards a younger audience, and then a show in the same universe to be geared towards an older audience.
Absolutely.
And like, not everything is made for the same audience.
Right.
Correct.
But people want to look at it like it's only made for them.
Exactly. It's all about them.
Yes.
And that's also what you get though, when you get to pick and choose exactly what programs you're watching and you're thinking, this is all for me. Because people are so it used to be we all used to go to movie theaters to go watch Star Wars and stuff. Now we can watch it in the comfort of our own homes with nobody else around, other than if you have a family or something or friends. Well, most of them don't, but that's a whole different story. So.
We don't just live in our parents' basement anymore.
No, exactly. Here we go. Mark Maddox's first statement was way worse than he hated it. I believe Donkey Anatomy was mentioned. I think I seem to recall. I kind of agree with him, but not quite to that degree.
Probably.
Jerry, you're one of the best historians of the show. It's like
it's true. Where's that Earth Station 1 wiki that's out there? Maybe someday. But
we're going to be starting. We're going to have closed captions very soon. So watch
goodness
out.
Gracious.
Yep. So the wonders of technology, my friend.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it makes it so difficult I think when a few episodes ago, when we did our box office challenge, our predictions and everything, and looked at what was coming out this summer, it was really difficult to decide or to guess what was going to be a hit and what was not. And it had nothing to do with the content of the movies themselves, but it had to do with how our audience is going to respond to The Little Mermaid, how our audience is going to respond to Guardians of the Galaxy, how our audience is going to respond to Indiana Jones, the movies could be good, bad. That didn't matter. It's just, how are people going to respond to them? And right now there's so many, I think more factors are involved now than any other time we've done the box office predictions.
Well, it's not just a matter of response. It's also a matter of we're in a recession.
That's part of it too. I mean, that's absolutely
being laid off all the time right now.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the Super Mario movie. I think because people were saying children's movies weren't doing well, and then
boom.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's like like everyone who had been saving up money to take the family and the kids out to a movie that like hit at the perfect time for everyone.
And folks, for the people out there who said there's superhero fatigue, you're gonna now be seeing a lot more video game movies out there.
Oh, definitely.
Not just like Super Mario. Look at Last of Us. How well that did.
Hey, didn't Apple just put out a Tetris movie?
Yes,
they did.
Yeah.
But it's about how he got the rights to Tetris from the Russians.
Technically, still a video game movie.
You're right.
We got Amazon is working on something in the Fallout universe.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. That is such a rich world.
The Halo TV show. We're getting the second season of that on Paramount.
And I think the Fallout show is being done by the people who did Westworld. So I'm really got my eye on that as well.
I loved it when William used to play Fallout. And it's like, then I started playing it because of him. And the universe and the world they created for it is such a retro / modern film or universe. It's going to make a great film if they do it right.
Well, and if it does well, that would probably possibly get us a few steps closer to having a property made from BioShock.
Oh, sure.
Which I think
I would love to see Big Daddy on screen.
Yeah.
That would be frippin' awesome.
But they have, BioShock and Fallout have some similar retro, but yet futuristic, apocalyptic tones, and if so, if going for Fallout, if it's successful, that's going to show people, okay, we can go to this genre and this visual aesthetic, and it's going to do well.
Mm-hmm. It's just
I think
at a different level.
I think the Super Mario that was a difficult thing too, because that was right before the summer movie season. So it's like now, I mean, one of our big questions was, is anything this summer going to beat that? Because that is huge, right?
Yeah.
And we were thinking no, although I've got
Michael Keaton might get people back in the theater, but Unfortunately, we have to see the other actor to be able to see Michael Keaton.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not gonna work, I don't think.
I'm so conflicted over this because I want to see Michael Keaton. I don't want to see the Flash.
Let alone two of him.
Oh my God, yeah.
Two of him, right? Yeah, that's you're gonna have to really figure out if you can, separate the person from the character.
I'm gonna have to wait for streaming. I already know that. I'm not gonna add to the studio's money who agreed to this at the theater. I know they'll still get my fees from whatever streaming network it hits, but
that would be Max.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, right? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's true, because HBO Max is going to become Max, I think, at the end of June, I think.
Actually, no, it's
happening
next. It's happening next week.
Like 23rd.
Yeah, it's happening in a week. Yeah, so we are almost in Max country.
Wow. I think that's been a total cluster since, the whole Warner Discovery merger.
Well, all the mergers are becoming clusters. Like, people who are in charge who have no idea what's going on with TV and movies.
Mm-hmm.
They never have. I mean, lot from the studios never understood why, Spider-Man could be a hit and Hellboy couldn't, because all they saw was we took a comic book and we put it on the big screen. So why is one really making a lot of money and the other one is not? And they were both well regarded because they were both regarded as great adaptations of the work. But yet there's no way. I mean, if you just look at the sales of the comics, Hellboy does not sell as many comics as Spider-Man does. It's just they're not all equal. They don't get it. These are the same people who ask Spider-Man, does it have to be spiders? Because people don't like spiders. Can it be something else a little bit more audience friendly? They don't get it.
Well, it's also what is it, Zaslav? Is that who's running Max? David Zaslav, something like that.
The Discovery guy.
Yeah. He's running everything. He's who goes in to a company that's been known for cutting edge shows and breaking boundaries and giving a voice to a lot of different artists, and says, I'm going to slash half of this and just give you a bunch of reality TV.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking that the same people who watch Discovery, or the same people who watch Max or HBO properties, I just want more Magnolia TV.
They don't.
Part of the reason
they don't care.
We got rid of cable because literally we got tired of watching House Hunters and Property Brothers and Guy Fieri and all that kind of stuff, because there was nothing on TV. That's why we went to all streaming and we cut the cord. And I don't want my Max or whatever it's going to be called to be that. And you also have now Disney and Hulu is merging too.
Yeah, they've already started putting Hulu shows on Disney.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And in other countries it's already done.
Yeah, but now they just announced they're going to start removing content, and it's Disney, you're the smallest app out there. How do you have enough content to remove content?
Disney probably has more content than anybody.
Yeah.
Disney has, their catalog is way bigger than.
They don't have everything on the app though.
No, not yet.
No, that's true.
But they're now talking about removing.
Right, because Disney's had a success in the past with making movies only available in a limited time, either in the theater or on video cassette or on DVD or whatever. They would come out and then they would go out of print. They would be available for a little while. And so their mentality is if we make this limited, people will need to tune in at a certain time or else they don't get to see it.
Yeah, I didn't fall for the vault shit on excuse me. I didn't fall for the vault stuff on when it was VHS and
I will
DVDs.
be beeping that up.
I did not I'm not going to fall for it in streaming.
Right. Well, you're one of the few. That's how they made the money. Now, Disney is in a unique position, I feel, because they own most of the stuff that I really like to geek out about. Like the Disney app is the one I watch the most.
Of course.
I watch Disney way more than I watch any other streaming service. If I had to get rid of all of them but one, Disney would be the one that I would keep. If you look at the movies that are coming out this year, Guardians of the Galaxy, Little Mermaid, and Indiana Jones, and Pixar's Elemental are probably going to be like in the top 5. If not 1, 2, 3, 4. Like they're gonna right. Disney still is the ruler of the roost, I think, as far as pop culture and as far as maybe even geek culture. Right? I mean, how do we feel about that statement?
I watch all this stuff on Disney, but I only open the app maybe once a week, and sometimes I don't even open it for a whole month.
Wow.
And I love Marvel and I love Star Wars, but I think I watch Paramount almost every day. I watch Netflix almost every day because
I'm like the entire opposite.
I'm like Netflix. Mm-hmm. I can get all these foreign sci-fi shows, that would have never had. I would have never discovered, and I've really enjoyed a lot of them. And Paramount, it's got all my Star Trek there, and I do watch some reality TV, so it's got my Survivor, and
no judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a great movie selection. I'm gonna go for the movies more on the Paramount app than I am.
They do have some great movies there, and it's interesting because I'm with Jen because Disney. The only thing I watch on the Disney usually is any of the Star Wars stuff that they have, or if there's a new Marvel show.
Yep,
and which they pretty much do all the time.
Yeah, but that's
not really.
That's
slowing down a little bit.
That's one show. I watch multiple shows on Paramount. I watch multiple shows on Netflix, on Amazon, and or Stars, and so it just all depends. I'm actually thinking about getting rid of AMC Plus because Doctor Who, the new ones, are going to now be on
Disney.
Disney. So there'll be another thing you watch on Disney.
So, I have.
It's not like it's constantly watching it all the time, though.
And I know you just watched all the episodes of Muppets Mayhem.
Yeah, I still haven't watched that yet.
More to go.
I have it. Yeah, I have a AMC Plus too, but I mainly have it so I have access to Shudder.
Oh, the horror service. Yeah.
So, especially around Halloween, but I'm probably going to get to the point where, like, I'll cancel it until one of the shows I want to watch comes back. And which I do with Star. I used to do that with Stars when Spartacus was on, and it's spinoff. Like I would only get it when it was time for that show to be airing this season.
The only reason we got Stars is to watch Outlander, but that's it. I don't watch anything else on it. So it's
right. And you do have the option to do that with streaming services. You can just watch something, and then when you're done, boom, like replace it with another streaming service. I subscribe to way too many, and I can cut the cord. I think at any time I can.
Yeah, I got rid of Apple Plus 5 whenever the last season of For All Mankind ended.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I don't need this right now. And I know there's shows on there I would like to watch. I know they've added movies that I would like to watch. I'm not getting it back till the next season of For All Mankind comes back.
I think later this year it's coming back.
Yeah. And I might even wait until the season's like halfway through so that we can like
a little bit.
Binge 2 episodes at a time.
Yeah.
Good series. Such a great series.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And Apple TV is really stepping up. I think a couple of years ago, they were the ones that I watched the least. And now they've got amazing programs coming out of there. I've heard really good things about Silo.
Silo's great.
I thought C was going to be ridiculous. And we actually got into it.
Oh, right.
We're not caught up on it by any means, but because I got rid of the app, but I enjoyed it much more than what the trailers made it. Like trailer, some people just don't know how to make a trailer.
And actually, I agree with this because when William was younger, he used to want to watch all Disney or all Muppets or stuff like that. So as she put, as a parent of a 2-year-old, Disney Plus is part of our everyday life. Don't ask me how many times we use it to play Moana. You're welcome.
Yeah. And I think one of the best shows for kids is Bluey, right? And that's on Disney Plus, right?
Mm-hmm. So it just there's reasons to have streaming, but it's like what HBO Discovery is doing is just crazy, thinking about putting more reality programming up there because
I get it. It's cheaper.
It's cheaper.
I understand it from that.
That's why the networks have switched to it. What CBS is putting this year, because it's cheaper. They're doing an hour and a half of Survivor and then an hour and a half of The Amazing Race because it's cheaper for them to do it.
CW, now that Nexstar bought them out, CW is just canceling more and more shows. They just canceled Kung Fu. They just canceled the Winchesters.
Yep.
And Nexstar plans on at least 85% of their programming next year to be reality-based content.
Because Discovery went and showed everybody that you can be so successful with reality-based shows that you can be big enough that you can buy Warner Brothers. Like when Disney, like Discovery, the fact that they like merged with Warner Brothers, I'm like, how is this even possible? How is Discovery even in the same league as Warner Brothers, a company that's been around for 100 years now, and putting out all sorts of great content, and yet Discovery can just go in and go, bam, you're ours. Like that. I mean, I don't care for their programming, but that's an unbelievable business model.
Well, I mean, we're going to see what the streaming numbers are like, the app numbers are like soon, because that's what's going to matter.
Well,
if they get a rush,
if we see them, because they don't like to that's the thing about the streaming services. They don't like to tell us anything.
No, they won't give us the streaming numbers, but they have to report to their shareholders.
True.
And we get to see that.
Yes.
And we get to see their quarterly losses. And Discovery thinks that this is what's going to drive new traffic to Max.
That's what just ask Netflix. Yeah, we have to report all that stuff. We don't like to, but we had to admit that we're losing people.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. I don't personally think a bunch of people who want to watch reality TV are maybe, yes, Max will get new subscribers. I think the people who have HBO, if all of a sudden it's all reality, they're going to drop.
Mm-hmm. And people don't know Discover's hedging their bets on this.
Oh, yeah.
Last time I checked, the Discover app will still exist. They're just going to charge like $7 a month for it.
Yeah, and my understanding
HBO
too
Max
is that
like 17.
And I understand that HBO is going to still exist. It's just not going to be.
It's not going to be an app,
right?
If you want to see HBO on an app, you have to watch Max.
Yeah. So you'll get the House of Dragons. You'll still have that type of stuff when it comes out, and you'll still have the DC movies, or hopefully you'll still have the cartoons and everything.
No, you're still going to get House of Dragons, but it's going to be a reality show now. So it's just going to be a bunch of dragons all living in the same cave, having wacky adventures together. I'm calling it right now.
Well, I know they're doing a reality show with celebrities pretending they're on Mars or something.
I'm actually going to watch that one because I need to see the train wreck that this is possibly going to be. So I'm going to give it at least one episode.
I know Shatner's on it, so
yeah,
he's the host. It's basically Celebrity Big Brother.
Mm-hmm.
They're just doing it in a Mars training facility,
which I also watch. I don't like a lot of reality programming, but some of it I do watch. Yeah.
Well,
right, that's a fact. Survivor, Big Brother, to me, those are fascinating social experiments. And while I know that there is producer intervention, trying to get people to say a certain thing or asking a leading question to get a certain reaction to make good TV. I know that's there, but it's there a lot less than, say, House Hunter, since somebody brought it up, where, we've seen behind the scenes articles.
Hunters is fake, though.
Yeah, a lot of them are. The houses aren't for sale, or the homeowners have already bought their home and they get to pretend that they're looking. But they've already moved into the house they've chosen.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, it's like Storage Wars.
Oh yeah, that's super fake.
Yeah.
Those things are planted.
Right.
No.
Yeah, they are, and that's what makes that's what makes it really difficult, because technically they are quote unquote reality shows, but we all know that there's production and writing involved, and yet they are able to, like, they're going to thrive over the next few months, because with the writers on strike, all you're going to get are new reality shows.
Oh yeah,
and it's
or shows.
It's going to be really tough for a while, I think, because I don't see the strike ending anytime soon, and the directors and the actors unions their contract is up pretty soon too, and they're waiting to see what happens with the writers. So, like, it's all gonna get really, really ugly before it gets better.
No, I think there is a strong chance that the other two guilds are gonna also strike.
They should.
Yeah.
Because there's everything that the writers want, it affects the artists, the actors and the directors too.
Well, and streaming makes up a majority of the sales, the money these days.
Absolutely.
And none of those contracts have been figured into.
Nope. At the time they were just like, oh well, we'll just cross that bridge when we come to it, and then they cross the bridge, and they never.
The answer is
we're over the bridge, and we haven't dealt with it.
Is just do a reality show about creating a podcast weekly. I think it would be great.
Or hey, we could end up with a Dr. Horrible Part 2.
That's true,
but without somebody else's involvement.
I don't know how that works.
He's Jane Espenson could write it.
Wow, Jane's very talented, and I would not be opposed to that.
She did a lot of work on his stuff. She proved she can have that same type of voice that speaks to us nerds.
So let me throw this out to you. All right, we'll start with you, Channing. What do you think is like one of the biggest, either positive or negative, aspects of being a geek right now? What is like one of the biggest pluses or minuses right now? That's something that we haven't discussed.
Sadly, I was here late, so I hope you guys haven't touched on this. But I mean, one of the positives is an abundance of content.
Yeah, we touched on it.
That already
is. Always take my good stuff.
Well, that's what happens when you get here late, man.
Yeah, look, I was drinking,
I can understand. That you left a huge plate of food behind. I get it, but
that's why you didn't understand where it said EST, not CST.
CST, yeah, right. I fail time zones.
Hey, that's the same. It's the same thing for tomorrow. Just so you're prepared. Same time, same time.
Same pod time, same pod channel.
That was my big one. So I will cede my remaining time to Jen.
All right, Jen. I will ask you the same thing. And Channing, I want another answer. So you don't get an out. So
well, I think we've all, I think, been excited for the past few years that we see projects getting announced from properties that we know. If you're a gamer fan, you were excited and hopeful that Last of Us wouldn't suck. And I think for the majority of people, it didn't. There was some critiques I've seen, but I think even though we don't see independent films and TV shows get the same type of push they used to, I still see really interesting projects that are not associated with an existing IP getting the green light.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives me a lot of hope for the future. I love seeing things, I grew up with, or a game I played, or a comic book I loved, or a book I loved getting adapted. But I also like seeing things I've never heard of. The same as, finding all those new foreign sci-fi shows on Netflix. It's really cool to me that it's not all rom-coms, or FBI shows that get the green light anymore. Now, no, don't get me wrong. The Diplomat that hit Netflix last week, I finished that in a day, and I expected to hate it, and I loved it, and they renewed it within a day. So it was like, yes, I don't have to be upset that I already finished the season. But it just gives me hope that we're going to get some more voices we haven't heard from, some stories we haven't heard about. New writers, new directors are getting some shots because just of the pure plethora of streaming apps out there. And with streaming, you don't have to have such a big monetary commitment from a studio like you do with the movies. Although if you're making Lord of the Rings, you're getting a big monetary commitment, but still, we get more voices. We get more stories, and it's not just all spinoffs and reboots. And I think for a time there was a big, we did have a lot of, why is there no original ideas? Why does everything have to be a reboot? Why does everything have to be a sequel? And we still see reboots, but we're getting more original stories, and that's a good thing. I think sometimes we just have to really go out and seek them to find them.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with that. I mean, most of that is on streaming now. The theater doesn't seem to have that much space for original content anymore.
Well, there's not a lot of art houses left anymore either.
Exactly. And streaming is much more like, streaming to me is like, I mean, yes, I'm showing my age once again, but we went from to having like 3 or 4 channels on TV to having video stores with like all these choices, and it was just amazing, like all the stuff that we could have access to with video. The horror section alone was just absolutely incredible, and that's what Shudder TV reminds me of now. You have a lot of independent small folks making these horror movies that are able to play with the big boys. They're right there along with all the big stuff, and I think that's a really cool thing. Because it's just up to word of mouth,
Oh, sure. Of course.
I mean, on the one hand, it's much easier to make a movie than it ever has been, but it's also much more difficult to promote it and get it seen because there's just so much else out there. So yeah, it's one of those situations that I think you have to look. Like, yes, I definitely encourage people to look, like, use that browse feature.
or ask people, ask your friends, or, if there's podcasters you listen to, if there's bloggers that you read, if they're not, bringing up something new that you haven't heard of, or you're looking for something new, ask people. Ask for suggestions.
And people out there who post on social media, promote what you love.
Yeah.
Promote what you love. Promote what you love. I mean, that's what I think the internet should be for.
Yeah. You had also asked the biggest negative. To me, the biggest negative is the strike, because we all know what happened last time, and I think this has the chance to last even longer.
It does.
Than last time.
Yeah, it does, because it doesn't seem like they're even in the same ballpark.
No,
they're not even in the same state. Like they're so far out.
It seems like the powers that be think that they have all the power and that they have enough in reserve to let their networks and apps survive. And I think they're going to find out fairly quickly that they don't.
I hope so.
And that reality TV is not going to save all your networks.
No.
Even those of us that like some reality TV, that's not what we want to watch every day.
Someone should just remind them what happened to Heroes in
That's exactly what I was about to say, because it killed the momentum of the TV show.
And it wasn't the same when it came back. Yeah, because even
never recovered, which was horrible. And because it was such a good show the first season, and then the strike hit.
Well, and we're already seeing, there's cancellations being announced this week that you could probably argue have a little bit to do with the strike.
I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks because that means it's good stuff that's not going to get watched anymore.
Mm-mm.
Or maybe I'm just salty because Archer got canceled today.
I didn't hear that.
They had
now. Did it get canceled, or did the creators
got canceled, and they decided how they're going to end it and everything.
It got canceled, but Lucky Yates is doing Save Archer on Instagram. Like, I know it has a lot of seasons, but I like Lucky Yates and I like him in Archer. So
it's one of my favorite shows.
It's one of my husband's favorite too. So I don't even have Cartoon Network. I wait till a full season hits one of my apps and we just binge it. Which I think is Hulu. We just binge it that way. But still, not all adult animation fans want to keep watching. We want something different than Rick and Morty, which we're probably not getting a lot of that anytime soon either. But
probably not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, what do you think? What are the either positive or negative? You don't have to do both, but one or the other.
Oh, I can do both. Don't worry. You should know that by now.
Well, I know you can definitely do negative.
Oh, God, yes. It's interesting. Positives, I'll start there first. Positives are we're in a renaissance of materials, of IPs that I would never thought I'd ever get to see on the big screen, either TV or movie. I never thought I would see Good Omens, or I would see Sandman, or, Forever Made. We're getting to see stuff like this, and from books that, I love and everything. Look at the Terry Pratchett stuff we're getting. And it's, it's some stuff that's good quality too, and we're getting amazing shows on PBS, on any kind of the apps and everything. Look what, we got an amazing remake of All Creatures, Great and Small. And it's awesome to be able to see this stuff. A lot of, some of the Agatha Christie work we're getting to see. A lot of, just different and even smaller books and such. Or like Jen said, we got Squid Games, became one of the biggest hits out of nowhere. And it was amazing to see. And that's some of the stuff I loved about it. And that we're getting, stuff that I've never heard of before. Some of the things that we're getting on Apple Plus that we're getting, like Silo, or, or some of the, you're getting, some of the, Clancy books with Jack Ryan, made out, into TV and everything by the guy who was in The Office. Come on, you never thought that would ever happened. And, there's just so much good stuff out there that we're able to see this kind of thing. And I'm loving it. And I'm loving the stuff, some of the original stuff that we're getting from Disney, not the recreations and everything like, Peter Pan and Wendy or something. I like the stuff Pixar does that's original, not sequel after sequel after sequel, like we've been saying. And I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying being the comic book geek and getting to see, the origin of Rocket Raccoon on the screen, and seeing, getting to see.
Too soon.
Oh, I know. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I couldn't believe that, and, I think, there's a lot I'm thrilled about. I'm thrilled that we're, that I get to, share it with my friends and get to talk about geeky stuff and not argue with them. That we get to go to conventions like Dragon Con or Pensacon or San Diego Comic Con, and be there with my brothers and sisters. Whenever I went to Dragon Con, I always felt like it's my geek family reunion. That's one of the positives about it, about going to it. This is my family. This is, my extended family, people who I've gotten close with over the last 18 years because of Dragon Con and going to the conventions. And that's the cool things about it. Or doing this podcast. It's a great geek podcast, great thing to do. Being able to weekly talk about, let's this week talk about the Muppets. This week, let's go talk about, drawing a comic book. Let's this week talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We get to do stuff like that, instead of just sitting in front of at a bar with a couple friends. I get to talk about it with all these people. I get to, last week we got to talk to the guy who wrote Dumb and Dumber. Come on. This was awesome, and I'm having a blast with it. The negatives, dude, are the geek community is killing itself and it's shooting itself in the foot. And it makes me want to stay away from online stuff because it's putting a bad taste in my mouth. And I've said it once, I've said it twice. I would dump Facebook or Instagram or any of that if I didn't have the podcast and everything. I need to be up there and stuff. Yeah, we post pictures of our trips and everything up on social media, but that's to share it with my friends and stuff. But I'm not up there to make a name for myself or get up there to bitch and moan about stuff like that. I do that just on the podcast. I don't need to do that up on Facebook. So it's, and that's the cool thing about it. It's, I'm not liking where the community is in 2023. In a lot of ways, kind of disgusted with it. That's why I'm taking 2023 off from going to Dragon Con, because I'm pretty disgusted with a lot of the different things with it. And, if I ever go back, we'll have to wait and see and everything. But I'm just not into it like I used to be with that kind of stuff and with the community. And I think taking a couple steps back sometimes is a good thing. And that's where, we got to be. Do I think there's superhero fatigue? Do I think of that kind of stuff in 2023? Yeah, I think, some of the stuff has been better than others, but we're still we got to see Namor the Submariner on the big screen in Wakanda Forever, or we get to see, 3 different Spider-Men on the screen, and it was just awesome. But, if the movie's crap, I'll say it's crap. And, but if I don't want to see it, I won't go see it, but I won't be blasting other people down because they like it and everything. It might be their favorite thing they've seen. I won't put them down with it. Might roll my eyes, but I won't put them down. So it's a cool thing with that.
That's fair. That's fair.
I can keep going if you want.
I know.
We have another 3 hours.
We've got another 700 episodes.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God.
You've got enough fuel for another 700 episodes, I'm sure.
Oh, dude, 700 is just the beginning.
Isn't it true though? I mean, that's the thing. It's like, we talked so much about how much great content there is, and that's what's great about, that's why doing this show doesn't get old, because there's so many cool people to talk to. And one of the things that we like doing is talking to people who are passionate about things, who are, that's why we do the Geek Seat segments. We just love talking to people about, it doesn't necessarily be something that we like or understand even. It's just really cool to talk to people about what they like and why they like it. And, that doesn't get old. I mean, there's going to be, if we could have definitely 700 more people talking about that stuff, for sure. In addition to the stuff that we want to talk about because we love it. So this might be the last question, but I think it's also an important one as well. Yeah, there we go. See? That's right. right there with those
Just
great men. Channing and Jen, I think you guys are more qualified, I think, to answer this question, but you guys feel like there's more representation, more voices? You guys feel, I mean, I know that there's still a lot of work to be done. You think things are better?
I mean, for women, I think it's sadly about the same. It just gets written about more or complained about more, but that doesn't mean there's actually more. It's just getting more attention, and unfortunately, most of that attention is negative. But there's always been female-led superhero movies. They've just historically been horrible, or
right. It's true,
or they've been B movies or something. Just like there's been women writers for sci-fi books, fantasy books. They've transitioned into TV. That doesn't mean it's a great transition. One of my, she's become one of my new favorite writers. But she's got a big fan club at DragonCon. Sherilyn Kenyon. One of her more popular series is being turned into a TV show, and I am cautiously optimistic that it would be good. But that doesn't really mean that we're getting more content. It's just that somebody's getting the golden ticket that otherwise would have gone to a carbon copy white guy.
Named Chris.
Yeah. I only, to be fair, I only really have an issue with one of the Chris's. The other ones, I'm okay with their work. I'm not going to specify which one, but yeah, I don't think there's more. I don't know if we'd ever get to the point where it's, an equal share of the pie for everyone. I hope it would be a more noticeable piece of pie for everyone, but I don't really think it's any different. I think it just gets more press and more complaints. I don't think it's more jobs and more product.
Yeah, I'd echo some of that. I think there has been some improvement just for people of color, but I think a lot of that improvement has come from us trying to create our own spaces. I mean, thanks to TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, you have a lot of POC creators who are just doing their own content online and building up a brand, building up an audience. So is it breaking through to the bigger networks and movies? No, but at least it's a start, and it's resilient. It's like I've got something I want to get out in front of people. You guys won't give me a chance, so let me find a way to do it myself. So yeah, they're out there, but I think that most of the opportunities have been self-made.
Yeah, well said.
No,
well said.
Agree with that.
And it is interesting because, from my perspective, I enjoy seeing different points of view, and it does seem like we are getting that more often now. But that doesn't mean that I mean, it's still a small, if you pardon the pun, minority. Like it's still like it's not a majority of the content, right?
It's not even half.
No, not even close.
It's not even representative of the population.
Right. Right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's almost like saying, like, yeah, we're getting some more, Asian American representation in movies and TV, but it's because we're getting some high profile projects up there. It doesn't actually mean it's more. It's right. It just means that they're
plus
somebody they're getting a promotion.
Plus, it seems like they just like following a trend, right? They're like, oh, Everything Everywhere All at Once was a big hit, or Crazy Rich Asians was a big hit. So let's jump on that bandwagon for a while until we make about 3 or 4 movies that don't do well. And then we'll just drop all of that.
Yeah. Oh, and which I hope doesn't happen. I love Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Absolutely.
I loved the Kung Fu reboot that CW just canceled after season 2 or 3. 3, yeah. I love Warrior, which is supposed to be coming back. But who knows now with Discovery? And that's made with Bruce Lee's daughter.
That's right.
As the executive producer. So I hope it's not a trend. I don't want to see a trend. I want to see more people get a share of the pie.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean that I need like Marvels to do well or anything. If it's not a great movie, it's not a great movie. But
Exactly.
I'm not
good.
Yeah.
I'm not going into it immediately going to be prepared to hate it, because I love seeing three women leaving a movie, but I also think it's going to be leading towards preteens. I am not that audience. That's what I'm getting from the trailer. I think it's going to be geared towards preteens. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. But that doesn't mean I think less of it should be made.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why Ms. Marvel did so well, because it was geared towards younger teen females,
Right,
and everything. Yeah. And also, it was also geared towards female of color too, and it was wonderful that that Disney Plus and Marvel took the chance on it to put that character out there and bring her to life. I thought it was awesome.
Hey, I didn't expect to like Hawkeye, and I ended up enjoying it because of all the different females in it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jeremy Renner was my least favorite part of it.
I can understand that.
Yeah. Hawkeye was one of the best things from the Marvel TV universe, as I call it.
It's surprised. Well, I don't know if I'd call it one of the best, but it surprised me.
Okay.
Yeah. I enjoyed it much. I did not expect to enjoy it, and I enjoyed it.
Sure. No, it was real interesting, and I definitely think, I think you're going to see more and more of that, either through social media, like stuff like TikTok or YouTube and stuff, where you have more independent creators out there who are creating their stuff more even than the bigger studios are doing right now, still to this day.
Yeah, and they'll take more risks, so you'll see probably a wider variety of content too.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
they're not afraid of taking out sponsors or advertisers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things the last couple of months gave me hope was, at least here in Atlanta, we had a movie theater called the Terra that closed down, and it was one of the major independent film houses, and they got bought out recently because they had been closed almost 6 months, and they just got bought by the folks who own another independent film house here in Atlanta, and they're getting ready to reopen in the next couple of weeks, which is pretty amazing.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. So,
but the fact that Atlanta, a city this big, only has barely 2 art houses is just kind of sad.
They closed their last one.
Yeah, I would imagine that's a trend.
And we're a huge city.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So, and I got spoiled being in Seattle because they had so many independent film houses there and everything. So it was, coming to Atlanta and seeing the 3 they have here.
When I first moved here, there was a little less than 10.
Right.
And now there's 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
and
I think they're all owned by the same company.
They are.
Yeah.
It's wild to me that like Draft House used to be considered an art theater, and that's where we went. Like that was where we would go to see Rushmore or Wes Anderson movies before he was like known, or Robert Rodriguez early films. And yeah, you can just occasionally catch an art film at Draft House now, but now it's, hey, come to our cosplay night for Firefly, and let's have a John Wick cosplay night. Come see our menu made for ants at the Ant-Man 3 premiere. We'll give you a little magnifying glass so you can read it. They did that. I still have my little my little menu.
I was going to say that sounded very specific. I was like, they must have really done that.
Were you also getting ant-sized portions of food?
No, they were full size.
Full price for it.
The menu was literally an inch big, and they gave you one of the tiny little toy magnifying glasses to read it. And I had to get my phone out to have the camera look through the magnifying glass to be able to see the menu because it was just not
Unfortunately,
working.
I'm getting the age where I kind of need to do that more and more with anything. All right. Well, I think. All right. I want to end this on a really positive note. So, Channing, we'll start with you. What is something that you are really looking forward to geeking out about this year?
I am still very much on the Marvel bandwagon.
Mm-hmm.
So I am just geared up for all of their movies that they have going forward. I don't have time to play video games, but there's a game called Diablo 4 that I think is dropping this year that I will be hoping to carve out some time to play also. Those are probably my two biggest ones.
Gotcha. Jen, what are you looking forward to the most, geeking out about this year?
So I'm gonna be on the small screen. Although yes, I see somebody just posted Dune Part 2. So yes, I am looking forward to that in the fall.
Okay.
But this summer the new
Ashley Paul's could be all over that now.
Are you sure that wasn't Ashley?
It's saying Facebook user, so you can't see the name. On my end, I don't see a name.
Name either.
I am looking forward very much to the new season of Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks because they're both airing this summer on Paramount. I think Strange New Worlds okay, except for like the last 3 episodes of season 3 of Picard, they really, really got to me, and those were perfection. That was one of the best series ending finales I've ever seen of a show, period. But Strange New Worlds to me is like, it is Trek. It is the new Trek show I have been waiting for. It's the perfect blend of nostalgia and the perfect blend of actors, and it gives me so much hope for the future of the franchise. And I like Discovery. I like Picard. I like all the other shows, but this is just a completely different level of Trek. And then I also really love Lower Decks. I think it's great that they're letting Star Trek be skewered the way it is on that cartoon, and that it's adult humor, or at least a mix, where it's not so offensive that kids can't watch it, but there's jokes for adults too, and especially for longtime fans of Trek. And so the fact that they're both airing in the same season, the new seasons, I'm very excited about.
Awesome. Mike, what are you looking forward to geeking out about this year?
Oh, well, currently geeking out about the new Muppets show. Muppets Mayhem is just amazing. And like everyone's saying, Strange New Worlds. I am also very much looking forward to Ahsoka. Ahsoka is just like, I'm basically calling it, Rebels season, whatever. So it looks so amazing that we're going to get that on the screen. And I'm looking forward to actually, whatever geekdom comes our way, there's projects coming that I don't know about yet. I'm going to be excited about, just geeking out about it, maybe even hopefully seeing, something that I'm just going to become a huge fan about. And I'd be shot if I didn't say I'm not looking forward to the 3 Doctor Who specials in November.
No, I'm very excited to see Tennant.
Yeah,
and Tennant back with Donna.
Yeah, of course.
Catherine Tate. I mean,
Dr. Donna is back.
We wanted Dr. Donna back the last time Tennant made a reprise. So
did you see them on the BAFTA Awards together?
Yes, I did.
Yes, that was a wonderful moment.
I saw more Catherine Tate than I ever thought I would see before. And it was very interesting. But I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to the new Good Omens.
Oh yeah.
Coming, that we're getting on Amazon. I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to end Mrs. Maisel in 2 weeks. And, it's been a great run. But, it's going to be very interesting to see. So, yeah, there's tons of stuff I'm going to be looking forward to. There might be stuff that, like I said, that, we're going to be talking about that we have to review. And I'll be like, oh, I didn't even expect that. So, so it should be very cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think series-wise, I think Ahsoka is on the highest on my list because I'm just so excited. I'm rereading the Timothy Zahn original trilogy, and in hopes that Ahsoka is going to really help bring that same vision of Thrawn and Star Wars to life. And I think with Dave Filoni at the helm, it's going to be great.
And confirmed to have written every episode.
Absolutely. I mean, this is his show. Like, more so than almost any. I mean, Ahsoka is his character, and this series is going to be his show. Seeing all those people from Rebels back, I mean, it's just there's so much to look forward to in that show that I can't wait till August. Also, series wise, looking forward to a new season of Justified. Justified is one of my favorite shows of all time. To see Timothy Olyphant back as Raylan Givens is just going to be amazing.
My husband is rewatching it for like the 6th time right now.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, he loves that show too.
It is so good. And movie wise, I think we talked about it. Box office wise, I can't help myself, despite the fact that there's all these like roadblocks or these road signs saying that go back, no, don't stop, go back, danger. I just hope, I just really want the next Indiana Jones movie to be really, really good. I don't, I know. It's but hey,
there's not a mystery kid involved as far as we know. So
the odd number ones are usually pretty good. So I'm sticking with that. The odd number one, it's an odd number film. So 1, 3, and 5, right? That's it. Let's and then end. Well,
and he swears this time he's not doing another one. So
until they back up the truck again. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see. They'll just reboot it. So, the franchise is going to go on. We know that. But so I think those are the 3 things. And there's many, 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 many other things too that I think looks good. And I know that we're going to have a really fun time talking about all that stuff this year on the show. I can't wait to share it with everybody because that's the fun about doing this podcast, is sharing what we're passionate about with other people.
Well, also, we're about to come upon summer, and there is always one show that takes Geekdom by storm.
Sure.
Over the summer, and it's always a show nobody was like a show that comes out of nowhere. Yep. It's not one of those like, sure, we have our water cooler moments about the well-known properties, but there's usually something nobody's ever heard of that sneaks up and then all of a sudden just explodes. So I look forward to seeing what that's going to be for this summer.
It's gonna, obviously that's always cool when something new captures everybody's
something unexpected too. And then that's the one thing I'm going to miss about Dragon Con this year, is seeing the costumes and what everybody comes up with, and especially for stuff that's later in the summer, and how quickly people come together and put these costumes together.
I'm fully expecting a lot of Barbie and Ken.
Sure.
God, yes.
Because I think that's something I should have brought up. I was thinking this movie was going to be silly or like just not for me when they first announced it. After seeing that trailer, oh my God.
Oh, I'm all in. I'm all in.
Like this, I am shocked that Mattel let them do this.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Margot Robbie is Barbie. Issa Rae is President Barbie. Yeah, no.
Like I think this is going to end up becoming like a cult classic, but yet somehow mainstream film. Just by the trailers, yeah, I think it's going to blow everybody's minds.
Yeah, I think so too. It's it definitely looks pretty wild. So
not even just from the actors, but even the people who are putting it together.
Yeah,
like this is just going to be awesome. So, and there's a lot of talk around it, and that's going to be the most exciting thing to do. And of course, folks, if we have to talk about it on the podcast, you guys will hear it first, because that's what we do here. So this is going to wrap up another episode of the Earth Station One podcast. Episode 700, folks. We have made it. Thank you. Thank you, everybody who's been watching us tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We love you guys so much. Want to give a quick shout out to the folks over the years. Of course, Dan Wren, who helped start the podcast with me. And of course, William Faber, Judy Faber, of course, Mr. Mike Gordon, of course, Bobby Nash, who was a co-host for quite a bit. And we also had Jennifer Hartshorn for quite a bit, also as a co-host. Thank you, everybody. And let's also give a big shout out to Angela Pritchett and, of course, Ashley Pauls and Michelle Borg, who have been bringing us weekly segments almost the whole time we've done the show.
A long time now.
Yeah, for over 10 years. These folks have been doing movie reviews, music reviews, and a Geek Girls Take. It's been pretty darn amazing, folks, that they've been sticking with us for this time. It's kind of awesome that, people have been, submitting stuff. We also had Dr. Scott for a while doing his Moment of Science for a little bit.
Yep.
Too. So, we had different segments over the years, and just the show has evolved. The show has gone from, being something that we had no idea where it was going to actually becoming an organized mess every week. It's pretty darn amazing. And Mr. Mike, I couldn't have done this without you. Thank you, my friend.
Absolutely. Same here. I mean, you were, I just hooked up on your train, and, and we went rolling with it, and it's been a hell of a ride. And, I give a shout out too to all the people that, there's tons of people that have been watching us here, that tuned in, that commented. Many wish us a great, congratulations on 700. We've gotten that through a lot of posts on social media as well, and that's awesome. It really, I've met a lot of listeners of the podcast, a lot of fans of the podcast, and it never ceases to get old. It never ceases to humble me as that people give us, not just on the Patreon, give us the money, but give us time, because time is even more valuable than money.
Oh, very much so.
And we don't do, we didn't do for the longest time. We didn't do short episodes. So we were asking people for a lot of their time. So, and people gave it willingly and again. And that's just really special. And, I thank everybody there for putting up with our nonsense, and get used to it, because hopefully 700, we're starting to get it right, so
maybe
practicing.
We're starting.
Yeah, so eventually, maybe by episode 1000, maybe we might be somewhat better. So just hang in there. We're slowly improving. But and for all the people who have joined us, whether you've joined us in the geek seat, or joined us to be on a panel with us, or joined us to be a guest on the show, or whatever, thank you for coming and being part of the show. And for those people who haven't been part of the show for a while, reach out to us, because, man, I mean, sometimes just life gets there, and we just it's good to have like other voices on the show. So, and
that way we don't have to let JD out of the airlock. So it's okay.
Exactly. But love to hear from I would love to hear from people. So
it is awesome. It is always great, and we would love to get some of the folks who've been over the years on the show back. It's just great to hear, and it's awesome to have folks like that on and everything. We actually created a brand new t-shirt for this anniversary, of course. We have the new ESO 700 t-shirt available up on our TeePublic store. Sweet. So definitely go check that out. It's, on sale for the next couple of days for $16. You can check it out. All you have to do is go to either the Earth Station One website or the ESO Network website, and there's a link to our TeePublic store, and it's right there on the top. And it's just your way of showing, a little love to the podcast. And it's always great, to be able to say, hey, I wore this. It's a cool thing. So, it's great to have all my friends here, and I consider everyone who listens to the show friends, family. Just not my mom listening anymore, so it's a good thing, as we like to say. So very much.
I don't think my mom still listened. We have 700 episodes. I don't think she's listened to one of them yet.
I think my mom listened to the Yellow Submarine one, and that was about it, because William was on it the first time. So it was cool. But other than that, and that was 13 years ago. So there you go. So as always, let's thank, of course, our guests for being here. Jen, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me on as part of your anniversary.
Well, it's our pleasure. And anything you want to shout out about?
Hey, for those of y'all watching live, tune in again tomorrow and catch us on the DragonCon report.
Damn straight. And Mr. Sherman, thank you so much, Channing. We appreciate you.
Oh, thank you for having me on, and I apologize to you guys and the audience for being late. But yeah, congratulations on 700, and I'm glad I could be a part of it. And I promise, between now and tomorrow, I will learn how to read a clock.
Hey, all right. It's a good thing. Anything you want to shout out for number 700, Mr. Mike?
No, like I said, just everybody who's given us their time and listened to the show, watched the show, even one time. I just appreciate them so much. And I appreciate being part of this. I appreciate you, Mike.
Oh, as I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Earth Station One podcast. Always remember, we couldn't do this here without you. If you want to support the podcast, please check out our TeePublic store, as we mentioned a couple minutes ago. Also, remember, if you want to listen to our show before the rest of the world, why not join the ESO Network Patreon? For as little as $1 a month, you can help support us here at Earth Station One. And we've gotten a couple new people up there over the last month or so. So thank you, everybody who has been joining in. And you know what? All you have to do is go to patreon.com/ESO Network, and you too can help support the ESO Network and all our shows on the network. And we actually have a new show joining up very soon. So we'll be breaking that news to you in a couple days or so. Remember, you could also find Earth Station One wherever fine podcasts are found. And now Earth Station One is in video format, folks. You get to see these lovely faces every week. Yes, we love you guys. We love you. Exactly. So definitely check out our YouTube channel if you haven't yet, and like and subscribe. If you want to write us, feedback at Station One is the best way to get in touch with us. On behalf of myself, of course, Mike Faber, Mr. Mike Gordon, Channing Sherman, and of course, Jen. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We will see you here next time on the Earth Station One podcast. Thank you as always. And here's to the next 700, folks. Peace. And we are done. Bye, guys.